He slept in a car for 2 years. Now he owns a $300 million empire. Let that sink in. 2 years. Not 2 days, not 2 weeks, 2 years. Sleeping in a car, alone, forgotten, cold, hungry, no plan B, no safety net, no applause, just faith. Now, he walks into boardrooms where the floor shakes when he speaks. Now his name signs checks with more zeros than the people who once told him to be realistic. Now people say they always believed in him, even the ones who never returned his calls. But what about the nights he didn't sleep at all? The nights when the rain hit the windshield like the world was trying to drown him. When his only blanket was a jacket that didn't fit. When prayers felt more like whispers into silence. See, people love the empire. They respect the power, the cars, the success. But they forget about the car he slept in. Let me tell you something today. Your car moments matter. Those seasons when life has you curled up, feeling empty, unseen, unworthy. Those moments aren't proof that you're failing. They are the furnace. They are where grit is forged. They are where God sharpens warriors. Let me speak directly to you now. Because maybe you're sleeping in your own version of that car. Maybe your car is emotional. You're trapped in trauma, heartbreak, betrayal. Maybe your car is financial. You're working 2 jobs and still behind on rent. Maybe your car is spiritual. You believe, but your faith is hanging on by a thread. And the world? He walks into boardrooms where the floor shakes when he speaks. Now, his name signs checks with more zeros than the people who once told him to be realistic. Now people say they always believed in him, even the ones who never returned his calls. But what about the nights he didn't sleep at all? The nights when the rain hit the windshield like the world was trying to drown him. When his only blanket was a jacket that didn't fit. When prayers felt more like whispers into silence. See, people love the empire. They respect the power, the cars, the success. But they forget about the car he slept in. Let me tell you something today. Your car moments matter. Those seasons when life has you curled up, feeling empty, unseen, unworthy. Those moments aren't proof that you're failing. They are the furnace. They are where grit is forged. They are where God sharpens warriors. Let me speak directly to you now, because maybe you're sleeping in your own version of that car. Maybe your car is emotional. You're trapped in trauma, heartbreak, betrayal. Maybe your car is financial. You're working 2 jobs and still behind on rent. Maybe your car is spiritual, you believe, but your faith is hanging on by a thread. And the world, it's loud when you're winning, but it's silent when you're suffering. But listen, just because they've gone quiet doesn't mean God has. He sees you. He's not ignoring you. He's not punishing you. He's preparing you. You see, the car isn't the end of the story. It's the place where the real story begins. Because here's the truth most people won't tell you. Purpose is born in pain. Greatness is shaped in shadows. And anointing often arrives after abandonment. Do you think he didn't want to quit? Of course he did. There were days when giving up felt like the only logical move. When every voice inside screamed, "This isn't working." When rejection piled up like unpaid bills. When the mirror stopped reflecting a dreamer and started reflecting a failure. But here's what made the difference. He refused to let temporary pain cancel eternal promise. And you need to hear that too. Because maybe right now, you're looking at your bank account and it's screaming insufficient. Maybe your relationships have fractured. Maybe you were betrayed by the very people you trusted most. Maybe you're showing up strong in public and falling apart in private. But listen, it is not over. This is not your tomb. It's your training ground. God does his best work in the wilderness. And sometimes he allows the car moments because he's protecting you from counterfeit crowns. Let's talk about rejection. He didn't just sleep in a car. He knocked on doors, and they slammed. He applied and was ignored. He trusted people, and they vanished. He gave his best and was told it wasn't enough. But what if rejection isn't a sign of failure? What if it's divine redirection? Every time someone said no, heaven was saying, not here, not yet. I've got better. Every betrayal was a clearing. Every delay was an upgrade in disguise. Let that soak in. Rejection is often God's protection. So when they ghost you, thank them. When they underestimate you, smile. When they say you're too late, too old, too unqualified, look them in the eye and say, watch me. Because when it finally comes together, the world won't be ready for what God does through you. But you have to survive this season. You have to outlast the silence. You have to keep moving, even if it's with tears in your eyes. You can build from the broken place. Now hear this. Success doesn't start when you get the money. Success doesn't begin when the followers show up. It starts when you decide to keep going. Anyway, because the people who make it, they aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the most connected. They're just the ones who refuse to quit. He didn't become a multimillionaire because he had perfect timing. He became one because he kept showing up when no one clapped. He kept creating when nobody watched. He kept speaking faith when doubt was all around him. You know why? Because he believed what God whispered more than what people shouted. That's the key. And maybe that's exactly what you need to do too. Let's talk about betrayal. They told him they'd help, and they didn't. They said they'd support, and then disappeared. Some took from him while pretending to build with him. He cried, not once, but often. But here's the beautiful, brutal truth. Betrayal is often the final test before the blessing. Why? Because if your character isn't refined in private, your success will crush you in public. So when God allows betrayal, He's not punishing you. He's protecting what He's building in you. He's exposing fake loyalty now, so they don't sabotage your future later. Hear me. You don't need a crowd to conquer. You just need clarity. Clarity of who you are. Clarity of where you're going. Clarity that even if it hurts, you're still headed forward. Now let's speak on resilience. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about rising up differently. It's about learning to bend without breaking. It's about praying even when it feels like no one's listening. It's about showing up, standing tall and saying, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I believe still. And that's exactly what he did. When sleep came in short bursts in a freezing car, when food was a luxury and faith was all he had, when even he doubted whether he'd ever see daylight again, he got up again, and eventually, the doors opened. Not because he got lucky, but because he outlasted the opposition. So if you're in a dark season, listen closely. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be faithful. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next step and trust that heaven sees what's hidden. The car you're sleeping in, that space of pain, of isolation, of almost giving up, that might just be your launch pad. Let me ask you something. What if this is the chapter that defines you? Not the one where you win, but the one where you refuse to surrender. The one where you bleed silently, weep privately, and rise without applause. What if your car moment is the birthplace of your legacy? Let me remind you, you don't become great after you get the opportunity. You become great so you're ready when the opportunity comes. And that's what he did. For 2 years, he didn't just suffer, he sharpened. He didn't just cry, he crafted. He didn't just wait, he worked. Behind the scenes, behind closed doors, behind rejections, doubts, and silence. He studied, he planned, he envisioned, he prayed, because you can't wait for the spotlight to prepare. Preparation is what qualifies you for the spotlight, but don't get it twisted. Even as his life started changing, the pressure didn't go away. In fact, it got heavier. More responsibility, more people watching, more critics, more voices whispering, you don't deserve this. But here's what changed. He knew who he was, not because success told him, but because the car broke him, rebuilt him, and revealed him. And that's what you need right now. Not more applause, not instant results, not overnight recognition. You need to be rooted. Rooted in truth, rooted in faith, rooted in purpose. Because the tree that survives the storm isn't the one that looks best on the surface. It's the one whose roots go deep. So go deep. Let's get practical for a second. This isn't just spiritual talk. This is survival. This is strategy. This is what separates the temporary hype from permanent growth. When you're sleeping in your car moment, do 3 things. Protect your mind. What you feed your thoughts will either kill your dream or breathe life into it. Guard your vision. Don't let your current view distort your future. Just because you're here now doesn't mean you'll stay here forever. Keep building, even if nobody sees it. Build in silence. Build through the pain. Build when it's not perfect. Because greatness isn't loud at the start. It's quiet and consistent. And here's the thing. When it finally happens, when your name is in rooms you've never entered, when the calls start coming, when the bank account changes, when the people who left try to return, you'll look back and realize the car didn't break you. It built you. It was your altar, not your end. Your beginning, not your burial. And you'll be grateful. Grateful that it didn't come easy. Grateful that the pain taught you things pleasure never could. Grateful that you learned how to fight, how to pray, how to stand alone, because now you'll never have to pretend again. You see, success that comes too easy can make you fragile. But the kind that's forged in the fire, the kind that costs you tears, sleep, friendships, and comfort, that kind of success makes you unshakable. That's why he doesn't flinch in boardrooms now, why rejection no longer breaks him, why criticism rolls off like rain on stone. Because once you've made it through hell, Hollywood can't intimidate you. Once you've wept in your own arms because no one else was there, no number, no title, no dollar sign can define your worth. You carry something more powerful than success. You carry scars. Scars from the nights you didn't give up. Scars from the betrayals that tried to silence you. Scars from the prayers you cried and thought were ignored. But those scars, they're not signs of weakness. They're signs you survived. And survival, my friend, is power. Let's talk about timing. He didn't get there quickly. He got there faithfully. Some people rise fast and fall faster. But if you let God build you in the dark, no light can destroy what was built in silence. So don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. Your journey is sacred. It's slow, not because you're failing, but because what you're carrying is heavy. He was never building just for himself. He was building for legacy, for others who would come after, for the generation that needs proof that pain doesn't mean purpose is gone. So if it's taking longer than you thought, good. That means it's lasting. That means it's rooted. That means it's real. Let's talk to the one watching this right now who's ready to give up. Yes, you. You've smiled through pain. You've encouraged others while you cried in silence. You've given and life still feels empty. But you're still here. And there's purpose in that. You are not invisible. You are not finished. You are not a mistake. You are being processed, not punished. You are being refined, not rejected. Sometimes God lets the pressure build, so when He opens the doors, you won't shrink, you'll rise. Let's talk about identity. Because before he could own an empire, he had to reclaim who he really was. You see, life doesn't just strip you of comfort, it can strip you of confidence. One rejection too many, one failure too deep, one betrayal too personal, and suddenly you start to question everything. You wonder, am I good enough? Was this dream even real? Did I mishear God? But let me remind you of this truth. You were chosen before you were celebrated. You were called before you were confirmed. So don't let temporary confusion lead to permanent disconnection from your calling. He didn't wait for people to validate him. He walked like it was already done. Even in the car, he dressed with vision. He spoke as though the empire already existed, because in his spirit, it did. And that's what you must do. You may not see the success yet, but speak it, move like it, work like it, pray like it. Because when God gave you that vision, it was already yours. Now you're just catching up to it. Let's talk about faith, because facts will scream, but faith will whisper. And sometimes the whisper will feel foolish. When bills stack up, when people leave, when doors close, when prayers feel unanswered. But listen, that whisper, that's the one that builds nations. He prayed when nothing made sense. He praised when everything looked broken. He believed when logic said, quit. And that's the power of faith. Faith isn't blind. It just sees further. Faith knows that your now is not your forever. Faith knows that the car is not the coffin. It's the classroom. It's the cave where kings are forged. And let's not forget this. Every no he faced, every friend who left, every silent night was part of the blueprint. You can't shortcut destiny. You can't microwave legacy. You have to live it. And that's what makes the breakthrough so beautiful. Not just that he made it, but that he made it through doubt, through shame, through isolation, through silence, through nights so cold, not even his breath would warm the air. And yet, he made it.